Hi, everyone. Welcome to today's podcast, WTF. Well, today we have with us Scott Reams. He's a CPA. Of course, he's a friend and he's our client as well. Scott has been in accounting industry for more than 30 years. Currently, he leads accounting practice based out of Salt Lake City, Utah, WSRP. He's a managing partner in the firm. And today in this podcast, we would like to leverage and learn from his experience of being in accounting industry and get answers to some of the important questions that typically, people who are growing in the accounting industry or building their career in accounting industry would have. So, welcome, Scott.
Thank you.
So, Scott, first of all, getting into accounting industry, how did the journey started? Typically people work at big four, larger firms, comes into a mid-sized firm, and then start their onward journey. For you, how it has been?
My journey really centered around stability, risk adversity. After college, I was thinking about which career grows in value over time, where your knowledge really is what sets you apart from everyone else, and it doesn't go obsolete over time. And I narrowed that, using that question, I narrowed it down to accounting. The longer you're in accounting, the more value you have and more valuable you become. And you can leverage that knowledge to actually increase your compensation over time.
So you started as with which firm, and how did eventually journey happened?
At the risk of giving away my age, I started my career in 1997 in San Francisco with a firm called Arthur Andersen.
Oh.
I was with Arthur Andersen for approximately 6 years before they ran into some troubles with Enron and ultimately went out of business. After that, I moved to Utah and worked with a regional firm in Utah for approximately 13 years. And at that point, I found that my clients needed more help internationally. And I took my practice and joined WSRP. They were a BDO Alliance member, which gave us a lot of additional resources internationally to help me serve my clients.
And what is your, right now you are at the leadership position, so I'm pretty sure that you would be managing a lot of things. But in terms of technical expertise, which are the industries and services you have gained experience in serving your clients?
I would say from an industry standpoint, I've worked in technology, manufacturing, oil and gas, distribution, and software as a service type clients. From a practice area, I've primarily focused on audit and attest, and that's where I've been able to grow my career.
So Scott, let's now, as the objective of the podcast is, let's start deep diving into some of the important questions. The objective of this podcast is that people who are watching this in accounting industry outside would have some takeaways from your experience and gain an insight that would be helpful to them in their career, in their professional life. Probably helping them improving the perception in general around what are the things in accounting industry. So now, first of all, let's come to talent, current talent that we are seeing right now. A lot of them are actually, looking accounting as a profession where you have to work too much. Isn't that glamorous anymore? So what do you think about it?
I think we've done a very poor job at the industry of really promoting and communicating what an accountant, what a CPA, what a chartered accountant does. We've always relied on that steady inflow of talent through the universities, and we haven't really marketed who we are, what we do and why it is a great career path. And unfortunately, that's starting to hurt accounting firms around the nation. And we aren't getting the talent wanting to go into the CPA profession the way I really think we should. It's a great career. It's exciting. There are obviously some number crunching that needs to be done, but the types of people and clients that you work with can really just make your career that much better.
And what would you tell about this whole, I watch a little bit on LinkedIn and other social media channels that, you have to work crazy hours. Is that a perception? I personally feel, I've met so many accountants in my life. I work closely with so many of them. I somewhat feel that it is a little bit, um, for a lack of a better word, overrated. But yeah, what do you think about it?
I would say in the professional field, there are going to be times where you work more than others. Those times are client service related. You will have some, 55-hour weeks, but those are usually short periods of time, micro compression within the busy season. It's not all year round. So if you look at a career and you think about the hours you're going to be working, with those hours that you may work in February, March, and April, not every week's going to be that intense, but you will have longer hours. You receive a lot of freedom the rest of the year. When you're outside of busy season, you can take time with your family. You have a lot of flexibility. You can drop your kids off in the morning at school and then go into work. With that time crunch in the busy season, you also have a lot of freedom and flexibility as a professional that you wouldn't have in a lot of other industries.
So basically, it's a myth. The work-life balance it's not completely true, so to say. And this profession allows you a lot of flexibility. So at least the younger talent who is actually looking to get into the profession, so take this as a positive that and as you said, any career you are starting in initial part of the year, you know, there would be some amount of hard work which would be required,
Right.
and that gets paid off at the later part of your career in the form of, and that's what traditional wisdom is.
Correct.
My mother used to tell me, get education, work hard initially, so you'll have a great better life, peace of mind in the later part of your life.
Correct.
So but the talent right now, or the younger generation, which is looking for instant gratification in the world of Instagram, in the era of Facebook. Do you think that journey, that the longer term journey that accounting profession has, or any other career for that matter, how do you really put this forward as an idea in the talent which is probably into their 35s and 40s and looking for next 20 years in accounting?
I think there's a lot of parallels between the Instagram and the TikTok and the social media and the direction you need to take your career as an accountant. You have to set yourself apart. If you go into the accounting industry, one way to set yourself apart is to work just a little bit harder. Come in a little bit earlier, stay a little bit later. In doing this, there's going to be times of imbalance in your life, but you're setting yourself up for an easier future. You're setting yourself up for compensation down the road by differentiating yourself. Even a social media influencer, they've got to set themselves apart somehow in order to get the followers and make the money. Similar with accounting, you have to set yourself apart from your peers. Show that you're that much better than they are. And as you do that, and it doesn't need to be significant, maybe an hour a day, 5 hours a week, that really adds up over 5 years. And so those little steps that you take now will set you up for significant promotions, satisfaction, work-life balance into the future. and the compensation will naturally follow.
And one thing, probably taking a leaf from what you said, I have this metrics in my mind. On one hand, we have what I call as growth and margins. On one axis, if we draw a chart, a graph, and then you have work-life balance on y-axis, and higher the margins or higher the growth or both, and lesser the work-life balance. According to me, in our profession, if you are in a hyper growth phase, if you're working with crazy margins, probably you might not have the kind of work-life balance that you're looking for. So actually, what happens is you find your calling. At the end of the day, I believe you would like to work with the people around you. You want them to, you want those people around you. You want those people to be successful. And so it's about what you want to do. So at the end of the day, I feel um, people talk about in a smaller firm, people talk about building lifestyle practice. So what does lifestyle gives? When I started my career, for me, because we came from a middle class family based out of a smaller city in India, the initial phase was to acquire wealth and improve the standard of living for the family, and for that we would do whatever we need. There's nothing. We never heard of the term called work-life balance, and but then once you have that, then it's about choices, right? So that's probably we were discussing when we came in the car, and you mentioned that at the end of the day you have to decide.
You have to decide, where do you want to be, what do you want to achieve, and what kind of a lifestyle do you want to lead. The effort you put in early on in your career, because this is a marathon, it's not a sprint. It doesn't happen overnight. The effort you put in now creates financial freedom into the future. So there may be times of imbalance in your work life, but over time, you're really setting yourself up for a lot of success. When we were in the car, I mentioned Jeff Bezos and Elon Musk. How much work-life balance do you really think they had, especially earlier on in their career? Not a lot. Maybe not even now, but they are two of the most wealthy people in the world. Is that something that everyone wants to chase? Probably not. But you don't have to. You can put in that effort and then reap the rewards years and years down the road. This is something you could do. This is a career you can do well into your 70s and be fulfilled, work with people, and make really good money.
Now let's change the tables. I mean, we were talking this from the perspective of the talent, the associates, the managers who are looking out to build a career founding. Let's change this. I mean, you have grown yourself into a leadership position, right from starting. So my question is, when somebody is in your position and he has this requirement to retain, nurture the talent, attract the talent, in this day and age, in this era where talent becomes a little bit of talent in accounting industry is becoming a big challenge, what do you think your thinking or your advice to them? Because I mean you have built a firm of, currently we have about 250 people, including some members with our company as well, Offshore. So about 250 people firm. So you have done this journey right from a smaller firm to making it to a mid-sized regional firm. So what would be your takeaway to them, or what would be your key learnings that you think that over the period you thought that this is something that I have learned and should be adopted as a person who is managing team, retaining talent, nurturing talent?
So what advice would I give the new emerging professional?
Emerging leaders
who
are going to interview, attract, retain the talent First, we talked about the talent. Now we are talking about the people who are going to mentor them, nurture them.
I would say, number one, the people are your most valuable asset. Without them, you don't have a business. So as you interview and look for that talent, you look for someone who fits your firm culturally, who you can work long hours with. We've discussed that. And the reality is, if you're working long hours with somebody that you enjoy working with, it's not that bad. Those are the types of people you want to find. You want to find the superstars, and you want to associate with them, and you want to work with them, because that's what really sets a team apart. So those leaders, as you look at the talent, you want to build a team of people that you really like to be around. And obviously they need to have the core competencies and skills and abilities, but that's why they go to the university.
And if I change the question, what are the things they should avoid?
Things they should avoid, hiring managers should avoid. Entitlement. That's the first thing that comes to mind, is entitlement. Someone who believes they deserve something without earning it. That makes for a very difficult professional to work with. On the reverse side of that, you look for someone who's selfless, willing to step in and help out, willing to go above and beyond because it's the right thing to do, not because it's required.
So that's one of the key value you probably want your recruitment team and the partners to know, that that would go a long way for somebody. So how do you prioritize between talent, retention, and the third quality would be the attitude? So when because you can't find everything in one person, right? If you are able to, that's a lottery, right?
Right.
But when you have to really trade off between the cost, the talent, the retention piece, somebody would be supremely talented but may not have the right attitude of working. So how do you really try to find that balance? The one thing that you talked about is being selfless, where basically you're telling them that you don't just do what things have been in your manual. You make sure that what is firm's objective, you keep that at heart and try to achieve things that way.
I would say prioritize attitude and grit, because a lot of the skills can be taught, but you can't teach a good attitude. It's very difficult. It's very difficult to teach grit, which is the ability to stick with something even though it's hard. It's very difficult to teach that. But you can teach someone how to add a bunch of numbers together. You can teach them how to type the numbers into a software program. But the attitude and that grit is very difficult to teach, if not impossible.
And how your journey as a leader, now let's come to your journey personally. Now you are leading the firm. How has your role changed over a period of time, right? From being, a partner to then, now you're managing the whole firm. So what do you think? I'm looking at small firm owners who will be looking at you and thinking about building the firm that you have built. What changes that has come to you that probably, or what mistakes you think you have made that probably they should avoid?
Taking too long to make changes in personnel when you notice that it should be. So saying it in a more simple way, fire people quickly.
Fire people quickly.
Yes. Hire them slowly. Make sure that you get the right people in the firm that will take you to that next level. If they're not the right people, you need to terminate them quickly. I've had various situations where we continued to work with individuals because we didn't want to have the very difficult conversation of termination. Once we were able to separate and go our own ways, the individuals actually ended up in a better place And I've had some call me up and tell me thank you
Yeah.
because I'm now happier. I'm in a better place than I was. So don't be afraid to make those changes because in the long run, it's better for you, the firm, and the individual.
And I always tell to my team that, cost of delay in most situations would be always more than cost of going wrong.
Yes.
So, and faster you correct your mistake, better it is.
Correct.
So I think that's what probably, we also should learn. I mean, but on top of that, how did it change you as a professional? What were the things that you avoided doing? What are the things that you started doing when once this eventually leadership position came to you?
Really focusing on the individual. A lot of firms that I've seen throughout my career, and I would say at times at my firm, the client comes first, which is true to an extent. Without the proper people and talent, it doesn't matter. You'll lose your clients. So you really want to foster and build the talent pool, your professionals, and make sure that they're well taken care of. And then they will take care of your clients. And that's the most important part.
And you still kind of on. So what is most 3-4 important things that you as a leader do in your day to day or during the year? Do you actually work with clients anymore, or?
I do work with some clients. My client list is decreasing significantly. My main client is the firm and trying to do what's best for the firm.
I like that. My main client is the firm. I think that's good way to take away someone, that your first client becomes your firm now.
Correct. But there's always that level of promotion and business development that will never go away in a firm environment, in a professional environment, because that's really the lifeblood of the firm. It gives you the ability to pay your bills, to pay your people, to keep the lights on. So, but promoting the firm and promoting that to clients comes in a lot of different forms. I would say being a good example, being visible in the community, that's a couple of different ways that you can really build that brand and inspire and retain and attract clients.
I think the thing that you talked about, it's selflessness is a very important quality in a leader as you scale and grow. People, when I say selflessness, I don't talk it from the perspective of the profits. I mean, we are running for-profit business, so we all would be looking for profit. But selflessness in terms of you're really looking firm not as a profit-making machine, but as a group of individual, a group of community working together, serving clients. So when the angle changes, and sustainability is important, and that's where profitability is important. So I think for me, I'm transitioning. So I always say this, that when you are a slightly smaller firm, you as a leader are a manager. You'll be doing a lot of things, working with a lot of people. From that position, you transition to become an administrator, where you only work with select few people, but you still keep your boots on the ground. You talk to clients, you talk to team, and then you eventually transition to become a leader, where you become, you inspire people, you lay out vision, you work on strategies more, and it's more symbolic, while still it's a full-time job, and you work on you work on things which are directional, strategic. So probably I am transitioning from becoming an administrator to a leader, and for that, what we are doing is putting a bright leadership team. It is coming organically from existing team, and while hiring new people as well, and then giving them vision and knowledge. For us, for me, the transition is happening this way. But coming back to you now, important question: private equity, buzzword in our industry, new to our industry. I think you were one of the early firms who embraced private equity into the profession.
Yes.
So I'm sure there must have been long discussion between partners, and you must have thought through what would be the repercussions within the team. Just walk us through that pre-private equity journey, the initial part of how discussions went through, what were the considerations, because I think that would be a big question in a lot of these firms, because private equity is approaching a lot of these firms, and
Right.
a lot of them are declining that we would like to remain the way we are. So philosophically, what went into your mind and the part, people's mind, and what were the questions, concerns, how you addressed it, all of that.
I would say that the first and most important consideration is partnering with someone that you trust. I think Warren Buffett said you can't do good business with bad people. So if a firm's considering to take on a private equity partner, you need to find somebody who you can work with, someone who you trust, someone that you feel has the same vision that you have. And that has evolved. I mean, we took on private equity earlier in the year, and since then, everything that we've done has really been to make the firm a stronger and a better place. We're working with you and the offshore talent to really give us the ability to move quickly after opportunities, to help other firms that join the platform to embrace the offshore talent pool and reduce their workloads. They haven't had that. It's been really difficult in the U.S. to pick up highly qualified, talented professionals. And looking offshore, we've been able to find those and plug them into our firm. And it's been an amazing journey. Yeah. Their skill set, their abilities, and the camaraderie and the culture, that it just makes everything better.
I think our association started pre-COVID, and
five or 6 years.
Yeah, 5 or 6 years. Yes, and I think Brandon and some of the colleagues have visited. You are coming next month.
Yes. Yes.
So we are looking forward to have you in India, and I think I have been closely talking to the partners and the private equity people, and they seem to be up for the prosperity of the firm and the team. But coming back to my question, how did thought process among partners? You must have made this shift, right? So what really went into that discussion? I want to know the mental process and how you manage the whole logistics
pre-PE. Conversations with the partners, really defining what we want to be, where we want to go. We didn't want to enter into a transaction and then go upstream, go after the big clients, compete with the big four. That's really not something we wanted to do. We wanted to be able to keep the local feel, go after the market that we're in without the pressure to go after the Fortune 500, and to keep that local feel that a lot of these small regional firms enjoy. And with our partnership, with our private equity firm, F3, we've been able to find that. They want us to stay pretty much the way we are. They want us to continue to do what we do best and support us in that in all ways. What it has given us is the ability to do things that we wouldn't have done without the investment, technology investments, investments in processes, hiring strategic individuals that will help us grow and become a better firm. Those were the types of conversations. We didn't want to change what we are, but we wanted to enhance what we are. And in considering those with the partners, it's really a no-brainer. You become a better firm, you become better at what you do, you serve your clients better, you serve your staff, become better. we just couldn't see any downside. And so it just made sense to partner up.
Yeah, and I can see that because after private equity transaction, we have ramped up offshoring as well. We have probably hired about 5 or 6 very deeply experienced individuals whom we call as practice leads, so to say. They would be on business valuation. We have expanded,
Right.
and then we have hired a CAS lead.
Tax lead.
Tax lead is joining as well. Audit lead. We have one or two audit leads already, and we have added one more. Right.
Right.
So yeah, I think that decision making really happened fast. Post the private equity deal happened, and post this, the transactions are completed. And of course, I think we have made 2 or 3 acquisitions.
Correct.
Right.
Los Angeles, Tacoma, and Orlando.
Yeah. So post that, I think the acceleration has been there. So I think I remember you, me, and all of us had the conversation that we need. I mean, offshoring shouldn't be just for the lower level work, and we are looking forward to expand. So yeah, if you can just throw some more light on how this change in thought process happened, although it took years, but yeah.
It took years, and coming back to the mistakes you've made, make them often, make them frequently, and correct them as fast as you can.
Yeah.
Which we've done. Offshoring is no exception. I think we've really, with your help, we've figured out what the recipe is. And that recipe is to bring in the top talent and then build a team around that talent. And that's the direction we're going with all of our initiatives offshore.
Yeah. So we are hiring the top talent, and let that top talent, be the leader. One question, by the way, we have team in Philippines, we have team in India, and as a feedback, what are the pluses? Because we have offices at both places. So what are the pluses of India and the negatives of India in an honest, independent view? And what are the pluses of Philippines and the negatives of Philippines, according to you?
According to me, accents. In America, I've found that some of our clients, more of our traditional clients, struggle to understand the Indian accent more than they do the Filipino accent.
Yeah.
While the language is perfect in all aspects, the words are the same ones everyone uses.
Yeah.
There's just a component of the accent that throws people off. So I would say in the Philippines, that's been a benefit.
Yes.
In India, that would be considered a negative. We've had a lot of success hiring in India and sourcing talent. We've been able to source talent also in the Philippines, but it feels like it's taken more time and been more difficult to find that right fit culturally. And
in Philippines or in India?
So in the Philippines, it's been more difficult
to find the right talent.
That really fit well. I feel like in India, we've been able to really source talent, and they fit. And it's that intangible, we just get along. And while you can find that in both places, I feel like it's just taken a little bit longer.
I think I was speaking with one of the team members offshore in India, and you had a conversation with him, and he told me that you are fond of, you have a lot of friends from India and Pakistan, and you really connects well with them, and you know a lot about Indian culture, so to say. So yeah, he shared me that he's really fond of, and a lot of Indian clients and doctors are your friends. So
yes.
Yeah. So I think, so you're saying that, to summarize, the communication side, the accent neutrality is much better in Philippines and compared to India. But as in terms of technical talent and cultural fit, you find India a little edge above Philippines.
Yes, I would say that just from a population standpoint,
too many people.
I mean, India, our staff and professionals are smarter than I am. I mean, I love it.
Yeah, I mean, that's your humility, but yeah.
That's one thing that I think a leader needs to really recognize is you're hiring people, and the people that you hire should be coached and trained to replace you. Those are the types of people you want working for you, the people that can do your job and do it better than you. You're really just there to support, help, direct, and guide.
And we are really excited with the opportunity. We are really thankful to the whole team of WSRP, Brandon and you. The way we are entering into a strategic partnership, and our intention is to scale offshore and be that growth engine for the acquisition that we want to do,
Right.
and look out for the opportunities. I think between last 8 or 9 months we already did 3, and now we are still looking for more.
Mm-hmm.
And we are really happy that offshoring is becoming that growth engine when we are trying to integrate in all the acquired assets, all the firms that we acquire. We are trying to integrate that, although it's happening slowly, but we are moving in that direction. So we are really excited with the opportunity, and if we are able to scale the way we are envisioning, probably we'll have a couple of hundred people at least in between India and Philippines put together. And I would personally think there are pluses on both the countries. Leveraging it smartly to our need is what, and that's where we have expanded. And we are not limited our talent at one place in India. I think our team is spread out as well, right?
Right.
We have, I think, one member in Lucknow. I think 2 or 3 members are in Lucknow. Then we have some in Ahmedabad, and some spread it out, right?
Right. And the reality is, when you offshore, if you find the right people, it doesn't matter where they are.
Yeah.
You find that fit, the professional, they know what they're doing, they work well with the team. I mean, they can do that from anywhere.
Yeah. And because of our office network, we were able to access the talent and source them, and they're still working from office. I think Srijan is working from Indore, right?
I don't recall.
Yeah, Srijan is working from Indore. That has been a good hire on a senior position. Pulkit, who leads the audit,
Mm-hmm.
I think the EBP side of it, he works from Ahmedabad. And we have Alok working from Lucknow.
Yeah.
So we have teams spread it out, and that has actually worked well for us. I think, did we? What is that? I mean, in 5 years, how much is the attrition numbers on the offshore front for us?
On the attrition, I believe,
Fingers crossed.
I believe we've only lost one individual, family related, and they had to step down and move on. There's been a few that haven't fit culturally.
I think 2 people we lost.
Yeah.
So about 3 people we have total lost between
Right.
2 or 3 or 4.
But the reality is, we're able to keep the talent, and as long as they feel respected and they feel like they're growing, and as long as they're working towards achieving the firm's goals and working together well with us, it's a great relationship that
I think it has a lot to do with the way you are operating, the way you are treating this talent part of your global team. You do one-on-one with Alok, that's one thing. Then you have group meetings where you lay out the vision, and these people are part of it because all of them knows how they need to perform. It's not like that you're just working with one supervisor. Right. And you're narrowly focused on what he tells you. They are part of the whole system. Right? They're part of the whole. Of course, they're part of community of ours as well, but at the same time, they're part of your virtual community as well, which is global.
We don't differentiate between onshore and offshore beyond just the physical location. I mean, anyone who's in India or the Philippines, we consider them our employees for all intents and purposes, even though technically they may not be, but we treat them that way because they're part of our team, and we embrace them that way, and we'll treat them as part of the team, for good and bad. If you don't achieve your goals, then we'll talk to you about that. But if you exceed your goals, then you're rewarded for that. I mean, you really are part of the family.
And how has been life changing for you post private equity?
Busy.
It's
very busy, but fun. It's really fun to build something that's going to be global best in all aspects.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen overnight.
Yeah.
There's a long journey. There's going to be some bumps in the road. I know it. If I could predict them, then I'd try to avoid them. But it's fun, and that's really what I've enjoyed the most about our partnership with private equity is it's bringing a component of something different, something that you can really wrap your arms around and try to take to the next level.
And I have been, I have been involved with you while these acquisitions are happening, and of course, I'm not as involved as you are, but I'm watching, observing, and being part of this journey. So I'm watching you working, and you are at the center of, connecting everyone. So for the viewer who is watching, or for an accountant who is out there who are thinking of acquisitions, but sometimes they don't do it. How when they do it, what would be, because they, in the young accountants who have 10, 15 years still left for their retirement or before they hang up their boots, they want to do the acquisitions. So what do you think for them, because you are the one who is managing now the portfolio, and you're still kind of not, you have not stopped, you're still acquiring. So what are the things that has been your learnings in last 10, 12 months when this consolidation is happening, especially in your firm?
I would say transparency and communication. Avoid surprises and always be just straightforward and honest. Even if it's bad news, you got to give the bad news. And it's better to give the good news. And so I would say that those are probably the most important things, is to be transparent and honest in all your dealings.
And any strategies that probably you implemented or you're planning to implement, which really helps you, which really helps you integrate better, or uh, makes logistics more seamless?
We're a little early on
Yeah.
for that. August 1st, we had the first integration. September 1st was the second. And then most recently, the third firm hasn't integrated yet.
The closure has been done, but not
Right.
integration
The close. And so our initiatives are primarily to identify a software stack, an IT stack that will really facilitate our ability to grow and support our growth long term. And that's one of our main initiatives. What we have been able to do is bring everybody onto the same payroll platform, health insurance platform. That gives us more leverage with some of the insurance companies, which
Yeah.
we can pass on to our
Team.
employees and our
Yeah.
team. So I would say the first thing that we're really trying to tackle is the IT stack and getting all of the firms on the same platform, on the same IT. That way we can leverage across firms, and someone in Washington can help someone in Utah, they can help someone in LA, and it doesn't matter where you're at, because it's all the same.
And it's new for you as well,
Yes.
because you did not had so many locations before. Now
Right.
you have. And how is, as we are growing our offshore team pretty quickly, how are you departmentalizing your offshore team? Although I know we had a discussion, we are still figuring out, but we had some strategy that we decided. So how are you going to segment your offshore team? Is it going to be by partners, or by industry verticals, or by service verticals? Of course, they will have separation by service lines and practice areas, but we are figuring out. But I think, what is your vision around integrating and structuring your offshore operations so that it scales?
Right now, and we rely heavily on your advice for sure, is having teams work primarily with leads in the U.S. That way they can develop that relationship, that working relationship. They get to know each other, because even within the same firm, people work differently, partners work differently. But if you can have the team work with a partner group, or even an individual partner, they build that understanding and that relationship, and they understand how each other works. And we feel that that's a recipe for success.
But so one thing that I understand is we would be hiring most experienced people,
Mhm.
and then we give them freedom of building their own offshore team
Correct.
within offshore as well.
Correct.
So we'll have a manager or a senior manager, and they'll build associates and senior associates or supervisor, whatever they want. So we give them freedom. So that offshore structure is clear to me. But would this manager or would this pod work with multiple partners, or work with one partner, or work with multiple locations? How does that would look? That would stack.
Initially, they'll be working with multiple partners. We'll have to revisit that as we see how
Scaling happens.
how easily that is to scale. Ideally, we want to make sure that the offshore team and whoever they're working with onshore have a good working relationship, that they get along, that culturally they fit, and make sure that we've got the right people working with the right offshore staff. And I could see some shifting as interests are identified. If someone's interested in the real estate as opposed to oil and gas, they might shift around. But that's a good thing, because if you enjoy what you're doing and you're passionate about it, you're going to take it more seriously and you're going to grow. And so I think that's going to be a work in process. Initially, we've got this vision of how everything's going to work out. But if that doesn't work, we'll retool and start over.
So yeah, I think we have talked a lot about various things. Thank you, Scott, for taking the time out and being part of this podcast. And we are looking forward to see you again in India and welcome you there and enjoy the spirit of India.
Okay, thank you, Shawn.